So I'm going to try and make a segue between some of the messages that Tom's got us to think about and tying back to the point where I left off 10 minutes ago. And it is this notion about the elevation of the role played by the sales exec and the perception of that role from the customer being visited about a sales relationship versus a business partnership. Now, hand on heart, every customer that we've ever dealt with, including Pete and Ottakumpu, they all tell me our sales execs are beyond just sales relationships. They have and they enjoy and they deliver value that represents true business partnerships with our customers. And we nod and we go, yes, yep, sure. And when we start to peel the layers back off the onion skin to see what that really means, typically it will mean, yes, we do more than sell widgets and wares and negotiate better margins and prices than our competitors. And we actually teach them technical applications, how to use our products and how to use our services to better effect and maximum value to the customer. But I want to, if there's one thing I can leave you with in the remaining time I've got this morning, is to think about a business partnership that goes beyond that, goes beyond what you can communicate and what value you deliver to the customer about your products and services. It goes beyond that. Let me try and paint that picture. I'm going to go back a couple of steps to help me do that, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of the points I made in December last year for those that were here, a little bit of a refresher. For those that weren't here, will help me then move forward. So the context of this transition between Tom's messages and mine, I've used the term already, this race to the bottom. I think what we're seeing in many mature industries is that differentiation between product and service is getting less and less and less, and therefore competitors and players, providers of products and services, are having to fight on price, better margin, better profitability, better markup, and we're seeing a race to the bottom. I think if you think about the car industry, 30 years ago, as consumers, we would have perceived a massive gulf between the top end range of the European cars to the bottom end range of the Japanese cars. I think today, you drive a Hyundai, it's got as many of the good features as your BMWs and your European cars. We're seeing that in many, many markets. The difference between the products and services is getting less and less, putting the pressure on price more and more. It's this race to the bottom, a horrible race where no one wins. And then that puts the pressure back on the sales organisation in terms of the justification of the cost of having an expensive sales team. What value can they add when the race to the bottom is going and all they're doing is sharpening their pencil? And this is, in turn, is it further exacerbated by what we see in many industries where there is consolidation and centralisation. Just about any industry that has a retail presence, a multi-branch presence, a multi-facility presence, we're seeing bigger and bigger players gobbling up all of the sites, the retail outlets, and we're seeing this consolidation. We see it in many sectors. In the healthcare sector, it would be just one. And what that tends to do is take the decision making from the local branch, the local retail, the local facility, take it away from them, and it's centralised by the mothership, which again causes the sales organisation of the supplier selling into an environment like that. Well, what value our reps are adding when they're going to the retail and the retailer can't make the decision on the supplier of choice? We've all heard and read about the rise of e-commerce and the educated customer. Another thing that's causing sales organisations to say, well, what value are our reps adding? The customer's doing it all themselves. And this is further exacerbated by the difficulty that sales organisations have in assessing the productivity and the effectiveness of the sales team. Sue Barrett runs a group called Barrett Consulting, and they do some research every year. They release a paper about Christmas time, New Year every year, where they talk about the outcomes of the research and the 12 trends that are coming out of sort of sales-oriented industries. And it's a useful paper. You can probably Google it on Barrett Consulting's website. And they said the top trend facing sales organisations in 2015 is dealing with this horrible race to the bottom. And they spoke about the e-commerce and the educated customer, but they spoke in terms of the rise of the hybrid model, where bricks and mortar players are coming together with their e-commerce infrastructure, and there's going to be a hybrid model coming forward for winning players in various segments. And when we go back to Barrett's research the year before, the top trend a year before was organisations looking for and trying to find ways to drive the costs out of their sales. And in that same research 12 months ago, they spoke about, in support of that, seeing more and more of this kind of micro sales segmentation, where sales organisations are cutting and dicing the segments and the players and the tier 1 customers and the tier 2 customers to say, can we afford to have the sales team go and see all these customers? Can this segment be looked after by telesales? Can that segment be looked after by an internal customer service team? All around sales team optimisation. So back to my point about the elevation of a sales relationship against this backdrop that many of us are facing, and the conversion to a true business partnership that will create a difference and a point of competitive advantage. So last December, I dwelled on some of the principles that the great Miller Heiman taught us in the late 80s, early 90s, and the concept of the valid business reason, that the sales exec should build their sales value, their proposition for an hour of time with the customer on having valid business reasons. And they gave us some simple rules to follow in terms of how a valid business reason, what it should look like. Clearly defining why the customer should meet with you, stating the purpose of setting an appointment, must impact what the customer wants to fix, accomplish or avoid, should be concise enough to be left as a message or a voicemail, issues and solutions, not features and benefits, and clearly states the what's in it for you. Now that's again, I'm a bit like Tom, I'm a great plagiarist. That's straight out of Miller Heiman. I didn't make up any of that, but these principles still hold us in good stead today. And our slant on the valid business reason is that it should be designed in such a way that creates the basis of a visit program. You want your sales execs to be able to map out 12-month visit programs so that visits are not just episodic. This starts to elevate the sales exec to a business partner because they actually become a program director. It sits in the next appointment confirmation because there's a clear reason to have a next visit because we've got a whole program that we're running together. It sits the desired visit frequency maintenance within that program, creates the point of difference. And we looked at some of the models that we and others have used to help organisations, sales organisations, redesign their visits underpinned by valid business reasons so that the roles the sales execs are playing when they're making those visits transcends beyond I'm here to sell you more widgets and wares or fix up the problems with the widgets and wares I sold you last month to a true partnership value-adding expertise. And if you look at some of those constructs in these boxes, and particularly as you go to this one here, there's very little to do if a sales exec is spending time and effort with the customer, helping and providing this sort of value. That goes way beyond the products and services that are being represented by that sales exec. So, moving from Miller Heiman and some of those concepts, I'm actually going to leverage or draw from probably what is the next major step forward from spin selling and Miller Heiman, some of those great sales pieces from the 80s and 90s. I'm going to encourage everyone to get onto Amazon. The postage will cost you more than the book. I think I got this for 25 bucks with all the postage attached. Dixon and Adamson, the Challenger sale, because they have described to us what this notion of a true business partner means in terms of the role of a sales exec. And the first thing that they do in this book is they speak about the decline of relationship selling. I think we're all brought up, we're all bred, we're all trained on the importance of relationships in relationship selling. And the conventional wisdom is that the relation underpins sales success. But what these guys say is there's more and more growing evidence of a decoupling of relationship and the purchasing decision. In other words, there's lots of great relationships where actually the sale goes to the other guy. And they speak about the rise of challenger selling. And the characteristics here is that the challenger, the sales team, the sales exec that are truly a challenger sales rep offer unique perspectives to the customers. They exhibit strong two-way communication skills. They truly know the customer value drivers and the economic drivers, and they're actually comfortable discussing money, just in the way Tom did before. And they can actually pressure the customer in the right way because they're challenging the customer's assumptions and beliefs about the product and service and the market in question. So the key features of the challengers, this new challenger selling, is to teach, to tailor, and to take control of the sales process. So let me just delve a little bit deeper there. Teach. It's about delivering insights that help reframe the way the customer sees the world, seeing their world in a different way. Teaching them to compete better. It's nothing to do. It goes way beyond the application of the products and services that are being sold. Tailor. Only when the teaching process has delivered, then can the challenger sales rep actually tailor and contextualise the sales messages for the products and services that are being sold. And in so doing, the challenger rep is taking control and leveraging the various the various points along the sales process by using the teaching and the challenging process and the tension that's being created there to advantage. So teaching the customer what they don't know but should, offering unique, valuable perspectives on their market. The challenger rep knows more about the market that the customer operates in than the customer does themselves. They help them navigate the various alternatives, provide ongoing advice or consultation, help the customer avoid the potential landmines, educate them on new issues and outcomes. So as I'm rattling through this, you may well be thinking, what about the investment in brand? What about the investment in product? What about the investment in service? Is this now irrelevant in this new world that these guys would have us believe? No, it's not. But it's not the end point. It's not the differentiation. The investment you make in your products and services more and more as we move into the future is not going to be the end point differentiator upon which your customer decides who to buy from. It is just your entry ticket to play the game. That's all it is. So you have to do it, but in so doing, recognise it just gives you the ticket to play. It's not what you sell, but how you sell it. Differentiation is not in the quality of products, but it's in the value of the insights that your sales exec provides. Not only do these guys write about it, but the Barrett research also speaks about it as well. It just so happens to be our perspective in what we say in our little window to the world as well. So, but it's not just any teaching. It must be commercial teaching. So the teaching must ultimately lead to your products and services' unique strengths, challenge the customer assumptions, catalyse actions, but it must be scaled by the sales organisation. It's not enough to expect each individual rep in your team, whether you've got 6 or 66, to create this kind of challenger model. It must be organisation-wide, and your sales execs must be trained in this type of new approach. You can't leave it to the individual reps to do it their own way. And that then gives you the chance that they can also scale this type of approach across the whole customer base for maximum effect. Challenging insights. It's about reframing, not resonating. I think as sales execs, and I'm the first one to be guilty, You know, I come away from a sales meeting and I think that went really well. I really resonated with the customer because they said something like, yes, Glenn, I totally agree with the point you're making. That's exactly what we see in our organisation. Wrong. What you should be coming away with is the comment that rings in your ear from your customer that says, oh shit, Darren, I actually haven't thought of it that way before. The authors here talk about many sales organisations will create really neat and nifty tools like return on investment calculators that say if you use our product this way, you will save this amount of dollars compared to if you don't use it or if you use our competitors. These guys tell us that reinvent your calculator to be based on the reframe. Redesign it so that it actually gets the customer to help them work out the commercial benefit from operating in the new reframe way that you're describing, not just the products and services that you're selling. And if your sales exec's primary goal in first meetings, and I was taught this, and I bet if you guys went to the same sales training courses that I went to, you'd be taught the same way. You know, go into your first meeting, do your due diligence, do your discovery, ask all the questions, do your need analysis. Wrong. You're dead in the water. If you don't go into that first meeting with your hypothesis well grounded and well tested to actually put to them the reframe, then you're dead in the water. So in the book, they help us try to understand and build our own model for our own organisations. And I'm not going to have time this morning to do that in a lot of justice. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a skate over the top so that you've got a leg up when you do your own research. And they use this model that describes the customer's feeling when being drawn into this type of approach on the positive axis, on the vertical axis from positive, neutral to negative, on the horizontal axis from intrigued, drowning, involved to relieved. And the model, this commercial teaching model, begins with what they call the warmer. And this is where the sales exec knows so much about the industry, what's going on in that industry, that they can build credibility and demonstrate empathy right from the opening part of the conversation because they know what's going on in that industry. So from the warmer, then the reframe. This is the real challenge. This is the unrecognised need, problem, assumption from the customer's perspective that is now put to that customer by the challenger sales exec that starts the reframe and the different way of seeing the world as the customer is listening to that point. Then that is intensified, that feeling is intensified, the problem is intensified, and the degree of it and the closeness of that problem to the customer's world is built, and the guys call this the drowning part of the teaching model. Then from drowning to the emotional impact. So then the sales exec starts to humanise the problem, bring it very close to the emotional side of that customer so that they really feel that, oh yes, this is me. This guy's talking about my world. And then and only then, the value proposition, a new way forward. And from that way forward, your products, your solutions linked back to all of the various points from the warmer, the reframe, the drowning that have preceded in the discussion. Again, I've just done a very quick skate over the top there. In the book, they go into examples in quite some detail. So, in the interest of time, I'm going to, when we come back again at our next seminar in winter, we're going to actually look at some examples of companies that have undertaken this type of new approach. But as perhaps a little bit of a homework piece that I'm going to suggest that you all do. The first action point. We've all got our presentation decks, our who are we, what we do type presentations and capability statements for our company. Pull out your who we are and what we do, which almost invariably is going to be at the front end of your presentation, and put it to the back. As the guys tell us, lead to your solution, your products and services. Don't lead with. Reverse the order. Because again, the real value of the interaction is not what you sell, it's the way you sell it. And again, one of my opening lines was that one of the litmus tests, a real nirvana of have you elevated your sales relationships to a true business partnership relationship, is the point when the customers say, you know what, the companies from the sales execs from ABC Industries, we actually consider them more part of our organisation than ABC Industries because they add so much value each time they come to see us. That is the true litmus test of a business partnership. Systematise your challenge. Don't leave it to the job as a job to the individual sales execs. Build it as a company-wide approach. And in fact, counterintuitively perhaps, the more sales and product application training and coaching that you give your sales execs is probably the last thing they actually need. And it's the last thing the customers want. It is the upskilling and the wherewithal and the knowledge that's required so that your sales execs can become a trusted advisor, not a flogger of widgets and wares. So I'm going to leave you